Hello. Let's see how this works out. I got back from having some Chinese food, and I think they put too much garlic in or something, so my voice sounds weird. At least to me it does. Sorry. Yeah, I had the rice. That's it. Salted fish rice. It had bones in it, though. I've ordered it for years in other places and tried someplace new, and I've never had bones in my rice before. So, but yeah, when I go to the story I was going to tell about something about Vegas. So, as Sleazy P Martini from Manager of Gore says, "Give the people what they want," and people want UFOs and Vegas stories. So I have a bunch of math ones that I still keep putting off, as I say. But now having the Chinese food reminded me of a different story than what I was going to tell. But maybe I'll tell both of them. Around here they have good Chinese food, but in Vegas, man, they have some amazing Chinese restaurants there. And I was thinking about the Venetian, the Palazzo. At the Venetian side, I don't know if it's still there. They had a noodle bar that was, excuse me, in the edge of the sports book. And so I remember being there one year and watching the Olympics on TV. It's like, man, I could bet on the Olympics while eating really good Chinese food, like hand pulled noodles and all sorts of good stuff. Man, I used to love going there every time. Someone told me it was closed. So I don't know. But it used to be amazing. Wait to get into it, and yeah. And then they opened up another one in the Palazzo side that had more like dim sum and mm, what else did I have? They used to have the sea bass there, a really good sea bass. It's hard to find good sea bass outside of Vegas for some reason. I don't know why. It's around here. It's always kind of slimy, but there it's like a nice dense fish, well cooked. Oh man, yeah. The Chinese food at those places. There's probably a lot of other good Chinese places. People tell me at the Four Queens, is it, or Four King in downtown Vegas, supposedly really good Chinese food. That was like 15, 20 years ago. I don't know what it is now, but yeah, I always think it's like, man, Vegas has like high end versions of stuff they don't necessarily have anywhere else because they have really good, expensive, high end Chinese food. Where around here, Chinese food is kind of, it varies. It's kind of cheap usually. Sometimes it's more expensive, but it's still the lower quality stuff, I think. But yeah, so one time, let's see, wow, that was like 10 years ago. I was in the Palazzo. Like I said before, I knew how to get into high roller stuff without actually being a high roller. It's like you just bet on certain machines, and well, maybe I didn't say that part, but they keep. I told you about how they have odds on various parts in the casinos, but they also have multipliers, or they used to. I don't know what they do now because since the casinos merged, they don't have to give as many benefits, but they used to try to attract as many players as they could, and so each area of the slot floor also had a multiplier of how much action you had multiplied by this determined your rate of comps. And so things like the Mega Millions and all that stuff, or whatever it's called, megabucks, megabucks. I mean, the casino gets to keep so little that the multiplier is really, really low. But like in certain high-end rooms and in the dollar slot machines, the multiplier is actually pretty high. So even if you're betting $1 on the megabucks versus $1 on like Wheel of Fortune may get you like 5 times the number of comps as you would from something else. And so based on that, I'd base my play around that a lot back then because I wanted to get free rooms, and now I just yeah, I still get them just differently. But yeah, so I got free rooms, but also I ended up on I had like my own assistant. Once you get to a certain level, they have somebody who like your own casino person who calls you up every so often and says, "Hey, I've got tickets for you. Come on down, and we'll take care of everything for you, all the room and food, and just come on down and spend money, or enter slot tournaments or things like that." I mean, I still get invited to slot tournaments. I mean, that's easy. Once you sign up on a card, like I said before, I'll say many times, as soon as you go to the casino, sign up for the casino gambling card and use it at every machine you go to or every table. And they'll start inviting you to things and start giving you discounts. I mean, you may not got free rooms. They don't give them out as much as they used to, I think, but they still give out lots of other discounts and things like that, and they keep track of it, and they try to take care of people who are loyal to their brand. So I used to go and only gamble at Palazzo and Venetian for the longest time until they screwed me over. No, something happened, but well, we'll leave that for another time. So they invited me to this event. It was Miss Chinese New Year, Miss Chinese New Year pageant, Miss Chinese America beauty pageant. It was very weird. I've never been to a beauty pageant before, but I got the special seats right up in the front, and the contestants, it was the final day of it, was being broadcast in Chinese, which I speak not a word of. Even after 20 plus years of watching Chinese movies, I still never picked up a single word of Chinese. So, but I got to watch them, and some of them answered in Chinese and some answered in English. But what was interesting is that for the question and answer parts, they said they evaluated them not necessarily on beauty, but on accomplishments. So like most of the women were in their right, in their 20s, like some like 25 or so. Like usually beauty pageants, I think at least are closer to 18 to 21. But these a lot of the women were like NASA scientists or doctors or residents or things like that, and they would give answers like what's their goals in life for big accomplishments, and it was really fascinating to sit there and see the pageants. That was kind of fun, and then afterwards, I was supposed to be invited to the meet them afterwards, and a special room they had put aside up on one of the floors, and they had free food and things like that. I was like, oh, okay, I like free food. I figured I probably wasn't going to end up talking to many of them, but I ended up talking to none of them because it was very weird. All uh, the Chinese people, whenever one of the contestants would walk in the room, they'd all surround her and usher her over to the other side of the room where all the Chinese people were. So they didn't want them talking to American non-Chinese people like me. It was very weird. And someone told me, yeah, that's kind of what happens. I didn't realize, but yeah, culturally, that's just kind of what they do to the contestants. It's like it was kind of planned that way for some reason. But they only had like four people in the room who weren't Chinese or obvious. I don't know. Maybe they think they're Chinese. I don't know. There were four people who I thought were not Chinese. We're all on one side of the room, and all the food and everything kept coming out on trays, but it kind of went to that side of the room and not our side. So I got like nothing. So I stood in this room for about an hour until I realized, yeah, I'm not getting any food, and no one's going to talk to me. So, uh, but yeah, the contestants came to the room. It was kind of interesting, I guess, for the people who were there and Chinese and high rollers. It was a fun event, but less so for me on that part. And like I said, the contest was kind of interesting. But there's lots of stuff like that. I mean, it's when you end up on these programs. I mean, they just have, at least they used to. I don't know, like I said, they used to have events all the time. You get invited to things you would never even think about. It's like, well, I didn't know they had a Miss Chinese American New Year pageant. It happens around Chinese New Year, so and the food is really good at the time and at the restaurants. But the story that I had wanted to tell about before I had that that boney salted fish thing for dinner tonight, and was this one time I went to Vegas with a bunch of people, and I used to go a lot with other people. I'd show them around because I knew Vegas fairly well. So people would say, "Edward, what are you doing? I'm going to Vegas this weekend. You want to come along?" And usually that was a hint for me to go along, and then I could say, "Oh, well, you're here. You have time to kill, so go see the Lions." Or, "Oh, go see the like MGM used to have the Lions. That was kind of fun. Or go see the White Tigers when they were still around. Or they had a lot of free shows and everything. So I used to keep track of it all, and people would bring me along as a kind of a tour guide. But I like going to Vegas. That was fun. But the one time I was there, and for the day they went off to see the Grand Canyon, which I was like, Grand Canyon, big hole in the ground, or slot machines? I think I'll stay here at the slot machines. And so I stayed there and gambled for, well, they were out, and it was fun. I was playing Mega Bucks. Speaking of which, so it all ties together. Mega Bucks, Chinese food, stuff like that. But I was in Harrah's at the time. Back then, I was staying at the Harrah's properties because I liked the Rio. I don't think the Rio is the same as it was back in the 90s, but the Rio used to be really nice. Man, I used to love that. And the one wall was all glass and it overlooked the entire Vegas Valley. And they had something odd. They had TVs, but like set up against the glass. In the bathroom, there was a glass panel in the shower, so you could see through to see the TV. I mean, at the Venetian and the Plaza, they actually have a TV in every room, and there's multiple rooms per room. So there's like the lower level, the upper level in the bathroom, and in the shower area. There's different TVs, but back then it was like one. And so while you're taking a shower, you could look through the little tiny glass window and watch the TV and overlook the whole valley. So I used to really like that. And the carnival show, man, that carnival show was amazing. I used to really love the Rio. Like I said, it's just not the same anymore. And the outfits the waitresses used to wear, the cocktail waitresses, they were the best in the valley. um, but yeah, so that was back then. So then, anyway, I was gambling there, and I was playing Megabuck, and I was thinking, man, I think it was at a couple of $1 million, like maybe 5 million, 10 million, I don't know, something. It was a rather large number for me. And I was playing near the bathrooms there. I was like, oh, I have this feeling because it's like near the bathrooms. I know you're not supposed to play in the high odds area or lower odds areas and all that stuff, but I just like I had a feeling, and so I just sat down basically and was playing. And at some point, I was thinking about it. It's like, well, there's nothing else to do. You're sitting there slapping a button over and over again, hoping to see the megabucks. Or you meditate and try to focus and picture it appearing in your mind as you hit the button, because you know as soon as you hit the button, it determines the odds then, as opposed to when it's spinning. Uh, so it's like you get ready, you meditate, and you picture megabucks, 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 and you go, and spin. And then you open your eyes and you see what happens. And so I was doing some of that kind of stuff, like I always do, because otherwise you're just sitting there staring at nothing all day. And I was picturing, it's like, oh yeah, whenever I win, what will I do? I was trying to put it in a positive frame. Like, I am going to win this megabucks. And I was thinking back on all the other times I've seen people win, and they always say, what are they going to do? Oh, they're going to go to Disneyland, or they're going to retire, and oh man, their life's going to be so different now. And I said, I'm not going to do that weak stuff. I'm going to tell them point blank, no, I'll keep working. I just enjoy my work so much, and I enjoy programming or whatever it is I enjoy doing, that it's like, sure, I win the money. I'll use that to help out friends and family and stuff like that. But no, my job is my job. My career is my life. I've chosen the things I do because I like it, and I'm not going to give it up because I won. I always had this philosophy is like, if someone says, hey, I'll pay you some number of dollars. I'll give you $10 million today to quit your job. If you accept it, then you really shouldn't be at your job in the first place, because you really don't like it. Because I'd always hear people say, "Oh yeah, if I won, I'm gonna walk up during the company meeting and like piss on the desk of the CEO or something like that." People would tell me at Adobe even that, and I'm like, if you feel that way, you probably should be quitting. So, so when I was sitting there gambling, I was thinking, yeah, I wouldn't tell people that. I'd say, no, I'm going to keep my job. I like my job. I'm not going to be whizzing on anyone's desks or storming into someone's office. Like, nope, I'll just quietly go, cool, I have a little extra money, or a lot of extra money, but I'll still be doing the stuff I like doing, solving problems for people, and that's what I like to do, solve problems. I just happen to do it in code. But anyway, so I know it seems like I'm being distracted. Maybe it was all that Chinese food. Uh, so I was sitting there thinking that, like, oh yeah, no, I would never say that. Oh man, there's a guy. I could picture the cameras interviewing me, going, hey, you won the money, and I was like, oh no, 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 I'm not going to be like that. And then some dude comes up to me while I'm gambling there and says, hey, Megabucks up to $10 million. What would you do if you won? And I was like, what's this guy annoying me for? I'm here trying to gamble. And I said, I'd retire and I'd quit. And then he says, why are you lying to me? He says, you're X years old. And he actually said my actual age. And I said, you're never going to retire. You're going to work your entire life. Well, why would you tell me that? And I was like, wow, that was weird. And so I was like, yeah, why did I just blow him off that way? I was like, yeah, because it's like, well, he wasn't a reporter. In my mind, I was picturing reporters, but it was just some random guy asking me. It's like, I don't tell random people my secrets, although I guess I'm telling you. So, but back then I was, I still keep a lot of cards close to my chest. I only tell certain things, but I was like, yeah, whatever. I wanted to gamble. I didn't want to talk to some stranger. I tend to talk to strangers now more, but back then I didn't. And I was just weirded out by it. I was like, wait a second. He came up to me and said he knew my age. And I was exactly thinking at the time that if somebody asked me, I would not say, oh, no, I'm just going to retire or whatever. But I was stunned. I was like, no, I said the standard kind of stuff as I kept gambling. And he called me on it. And he knew that that I always planned to keep on working on stuff. And it was very weird. And so I turned around afterwards and realized it's like he was standing right next to me. And then he just walked away. And I was like, wait, did I hallucinate that whole thing? And I turned around and I didn't see him, but I mean, it was crowded by the bathroom and all that. And so, but I remember what he looked like, and it was just kind of a weird experience. And you think about it, it's like the Vegas or a lot of these places, they have people who can guess your age and your weight and all that stuff. So maybe it's just one of those things. I didn't know it, but at the time, my girlfriend at the time, I told her about it when I got back from Vegas. She didn't go. Um, And she said, oh, well, it was probably some guy who had followed me as I signed up for the player club or something and saw my age and thought, ooh, this would be a cool trick. It's like, yeah, but he wouldn't know that. And I already had the card, so there was no place anyone would have been. I mean, I guess when I check in, I had an ID. it's possible. I mean, you think what's the more probable answer? I mean, somehow he knew my age, and somehow he knew what I was thinking at the time, which I don't know. Maybe I look like the kind of person who will never retire. That's what I wondered. It's like, well, how much of this was actually just someone who could look at me and go, "Yes, I can tell just by looking at you, your personality." And I've always been cautious about that ever since I was like 3 years old. I remember. But anyway, that's yeah, pharmacist or something could tell I was chewing gum, and I was like, how could someone tell? And I realized the evidence of things not seen. It's like he could see my jaw moving. It's like even though he didn't see that I bought the gum or anything, it's like he could tell something about me, and it bothered me ever since then. It's like how could people know stuff about me without actually seeing me buy the gum or put the gum in my mouth? It's like, well, there's always evidence of something else. So I was cautious and looking out for that. When I watch people, it's like, what things can you tell about somebody without that they don't realize they're telling? And the same thing. So it's like, well, so I know it's possible. I mean, I used to play poker, and I talked to some of the pros, and they would tell me, we'd stand around and they would say, oh yeah, that guy there is going to fall. That guy there has this. And it's like, yeah, it's interesting to hear. It's professional poker players or people or professional gamblers. They sit there and they make their money by observing people, right? So maybe it was just that. This guy was just really good at observing and played it, but he didn't ask me for anything. And it just made just like, ooh, I know. I can trick this guy, and he'll get his jollies for forever for it. I don't know. But if you're that guy and you remember me, no, I don't think so. Uh, so I don't know. It was just a weird story. Something that odd that happened and just happened in Vegas. So I guess I always have a lot of stories, and if that's the kind of stuff people want to hear, then I'm more than happy to share. But I have other kinds of things. I do say "but" a lot, don't I? And I look off in the distance. I realize when watching myself in a playback, but that's because the camera is kind of offset from where I'm at. But so it makes it look like I'm looking off in the distance when I'm looking at the camera or trying to. So anyway, that's about it. Summary: Chinese food. Don't get the salted fish at that one place; it'll get bones in it. uh, Vegas has some pretty good shows. They have yeah some good Chinese food, a lot of other good food too, and people there seem to know a lot about you. And yeah, I guess I had a girlfriend a long time ago. No. Anyway, take care.